I thought Lamar Jackson's talks with the Ravens, which didn't lead to a deal, were the most interesting NFL player contract talks this offseason. Now that Jackson and the Ravens are going back to their own corners for the 2022 season, we can look back and see what I think kept the two sides from coming to an agreement. This and much more in today's video. Stick around till the very end for some bonus news. It started when the Ravens gave Lamar Jackson a bigger deal than Kyler Murray. The Baltimore Ravens are said to have a big uphill battle on their hands to get Lamar Jackson to sign a new contract before Week 1. Fox Sports' Jay Glazer gave an update on the talks, saying that the Ravens have offered more than a 5-year, $230.5 million deal that Kyler Murray signed. Glazer said it's a really big uphill battle, and the reason why is because Lamar Jackson, he is representing himself. I'm sure Jackson wants a contract that is fully guaranteed. I don't think that's something the Ravens would want to do. In March, the Cleveland Browns signed Watson to a 5-year, $230 million deal that was fully guaranteed. From Jackson's point of view, it's easy to see why he'd want the Ravens to be just as dedicated. Jackson has a Most Valuable Player award, but Watson doesn't. Jackson has led the Ravens to the playoffs 3 times, while Watson has only done it twice. Jackson shouldn't make less guaranteed money than Watson based on his resume. Of course, things don't always go in a straight line. The Browns were so desperate that they put up several future draft picks as collateral and gave a player who was already on a long-term deal and was facing allegations of sexual assault and misconduct a huge new contract. Cleveland even set up Watson's contract so that if he got suspended, it would cost the team less money. Last week, the NFL and the NFLPA came to an agreement on an 11-game suspension. It's possible that there has never been a better contract in the history of the NFL than the one Watson got. This is probably why there were reports of teams being upset by the deal. Murray's contract, on the other hand, has total guarantees of $160 million, but only full guarantees of $103.3 million. It's not clear what the Ravens gave Jackson, but it's hard to see why he would take a deal that gives him less than half of the fully guaranteed money that Watson got. The fact that Baltimore's star quarterback is stuck in a stalemate is because of a team from a different division. Lamar Jackson rejected Ravens' contract offer, believed to be worth about $250 million. Reports say that Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson turned down a deal worth about $250 million. Adam Schefter of ESPN said that the Ravens offered Jackson a deal that was better than the ones recently signed by Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. However, the team didn't offer anything close to the $230 million in guarantees that the Cleveland Browns gave to Deshaun Watson. Jackson was the only one of those quarterbacks to have won MVP, so he wanted a deal like Watson's that was fully guaranteed. The Ravens refused to make such an offer, which led to a standoff. Jackson will have to play out the last year of his rookie contract before he is likely franchise tagged in March 2019. Jackson is his own agent, and he said he didn't want to talk about contracts while the season was going on. Even though his mother and the NFLPA have been giving him advice, Jackson could be making a mistake by going to court on his own. From a logical point of view, it makes sense that Jackson would want to beat Watson's total contract and match his fully guaranteed contract. Jackson is the more experienced of the two quarterbacks on the field, and he doesn't have as many problems off the field as Watson. A seasoned agent might have been able to explain that the Ravens would never be able to match that deal. NFL teams were angry with the Browns because they gave Watson a fully guaranteed contract, which may have made it harder for teams like the Ravens to get a good deal with their franchise quarterback. Wilson and Murray gave in the end and took less lucrative deals that didn't have full guarantees. Wilson only got $124 million in fully guaranteed money from the Broncos, while Murray got $103 million from the Cardinals. Even though the way the contracts are set up makes it almost certain that there will be millions more, those numbers are nothing compared to what Watson got. Jackson wanted a whole boat to himself, and the Ravens didn't want to set a bad example, so these talks were doomed to fail. Moving on to related news, Lamar Jackson on Ravens blowing 21-point lead to Dolphins. Sunday, Lamar Jackson did nearly everything other than getting a win. The Baltimore Ravens lost to the Miami Dolphins 42-38 on Sunday after having a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter. Jackson told reporters, "All we have to do is finish when our time is up," but that was a good win for them as a team. It's hard to blame Jackson since he completed 21 of 29 passes for 318 yards, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, and ran for 119 yards and a touchdown. His touchdown run went for 79 yards, and for most of the game, it looked like the Dolphins had no chance of stopping him. But Miami's defense deserves some credit for only letting the other team score 3 points in the fourth quarter and 1 touchdown in the second half. It gave the away team a chance to hit back, which they did by scoring 28 points in a shocking fourth quarter. In the last quarter, River Craycraft, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle each caught a touchdown pass from Tua Tagovailoa. Hill caught 2 of them, and one of them went for 60 yards. With 14 seconds left, Waddle's second touchdown catch of the day gave the Dolphins the lead. On the last play of the game, Jackson threw a Hail Mary pass into the end zone, but it was not caught. Baltimore was stunned, and the score was 1-1 instead of 2-0. In their Week 1 win over the New York Jets, the Ravens didn't score a single point in the fourth fourth quarter, even though they were in charge of the game. It looked like they would also win the game on Sunday, but the Dolphins had other plans. After Sunday's game, it's likely that Baltimore won't be letting up on the gas for a while. Next, Lamar Jackson passes Michael Vick for most 100-yard rushing games by QB. Lamar Jackson just broke another NFL record. Jackson ran for 119 yards and a touchdown in Sunday's 42-38 loss to the Miami Dolphins. This was his 11th 100-yard rushing game in his 5-year career, breaking Michael Vick's record for most 100-yard rushing games by a quarterback. Jackson had to win just one more game in 2022 to beat Vick and break the tie. In the loss, Jackson threw for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns. Since Baltimore picked him up with a 32nd overall pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the 25-year-old has been one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league. Jackson was named MVP for 2019 because he led the league with 36 touchdown passes and set an NFL record for rushing yards by a quarterback with 1,206 in a single season. Jackson has been chosen for 2 Pro Bowls and once made the All-Pro first team. He is the first quarterback in NFL history to have more than one season with 1,000 yards rushing. He is also the quarterback with the most rushing attempts in a single season and the most wins before the age of 25. Jackson is playing this season as part of a 5th-year option that pays him $23 million. Jackson is expected to get a long-term contract extension from Baltimore, but if the Ravens use the franchise tag, he may be able to go to free agency and start a bidding war that could lead to a record-setting deal. As Jackson keeps getting praise, it's clear that he will be worth every penny. Finally, as a bonus, Tua Tagovailoa's career-best performance leads Miami Dolphins to comeback win over Baltimore Ravens. Sunday, when the Miami Dolphins beat the Baltimore Ravens 42-38 in a comeback, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa threw for 469 yards and 6 touchdowns, both of which were career highs. At halftime, his team was behind 28-7. In the second half, he threw for 319 yards and 5 touchdowns, making it the second largest comeback in franchise history. He also joined Dan Marino as the only quarterbacks in the history of the team to throw for at least 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in the same game. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were his main targets. Between them, they caught 22 passes for 361 yards and 4 touchdowns against a weak Ravens defense. This was only the second time in the history of the franchise that 2 receivers each had more than 150 yards. Tagovailoa did better than Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who completed 21 of 29 passes for 318 yards and 3 touchdowns, and ran for 119 yards and a touchdown. Before the Dolphins' comeback on Sunday, the Ravens had won every game when they were ahead by 21 or more points in the last 20 seasons, including the playoffs. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for sticking around to the very end. For more NFL news, make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the like button, and share this video with your family and your friends. Thanks for watching.